often isn't. So what did you look at? Oh, this? Yeah. Let's just see. Well, there is water, so they have water in it here. So yeah, if you want to drink from Paul's well, just take a swig. I have drunk it. It's great, great cold water. So anyway, it's an interesting little touch point with the life of Tarsus at the time of Paul. Was this Paul's well? Probably not. Was this a public well that Paul came and drew water from? Maybe, although that was typically relegated to the women's work. So thank you, patriarchal society, make the women do the hard part, right? So anyway, St. Paul's well. Let's take a look over here and check this out. So this is an example of going to great lengths to protect what they excavated and still make it accessible and visible. And I think because this site is associated with Paul, they decided, okay, we're going to get a lot of tourists here, so we better fix this up. So this is exceptionally nice, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, beautiful glass cover to protect it. So what do we see? We have a large ashlar wall. An ashlar is a rectangular block of stone cut for building. Okay, so those are large-sized ashlars. So that would either be a wealthy home or a public building of some kind. And then what do we have down here? We have some nice limestone paving stones. It doesn't look like it's a road. It looks like it's associated with the building. Notice how the row of stones is parallel to the wall. What I'm doing is I'm giving you an example of how you can look at excavated remains and interpret them, okay? So my interpretation, again, I've never seen any publications on this, so I'm just basing on what I'm seeing. My interpretation is this isn't a road, this is a courtyard. So normally you wouldn't put big paving stones like that in a room unless it was like a palace or something like that. But you would put them in the open air courtyard. So it could be this is the wall of one of the rooms that's surrounding a courtyard here. Okay?
Also, it's got a corner.
What's that?
It's got a corner.
It does have a corner right there, doesn't it? Yeah, and it looks like there's some kind of a cistern or something down there. It's hard to tell with the glass. So one thing that's interesting is if you look over by Charlie there, just past Charlie, do you see that round flat stone right in front of the nice lady there? Anybody, does that ring a bell for anybody?
Garden stepping stones.
Yeah? That's kind of what it looks like at Home Depot.
Is it for grinding something?
Jenny's on it.
For a column?
Yeah? And what sort of column?
Looks very simple.
Drum column.
If you remember, we saw the Roman bath at the museum, and we're going to see a lot more of them as we go. Remember those little columns? They were like little pancake. They were actually terracotta bricks that way, stacked up. That's exactly what that looks like to me. And I've only recently sort of come across this, so I can't remember if there's more examples.
There's one in the middle, isn't there?
Yeah, that's what
looks
those.
like terracotta.
Yeah, that's what those little shards are stacked on. And so what that makes me think. Okay, there's more of them here too. See. So what that makes me think is, maybe this was a Roman bath. Now that wouldn't fit the legend that this was the house of Paul. So maybe that's why it hasn't. Again, I've never heard that. Now you can also see large clay tiles that are kind of shattered there. Do you see that?
Yeah.
That's also typical of the bath. Remember, Sean, how he said those tiles would go corner to corner on the pillars?
Yes.
And they'd be like sometimes 18 inches square, 24 inches square, something like that. So I'm looking at all this and thinking, okay, public building, paved courtyard. These are called hypocaust columns. That's where they make the hollow floor with the hot air that goes under them. So it would make sense that there would be a well at a bath because you need a lot of water and so forth at the public bath. So maybe this was a Roman bath in Tarsus at the time of Paul. I don't know for sure, but that's how I would interpret what I can see from here. Cool?
I think Paul sat in that room right over there and watched ESPN. That's how I interpret this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wrapped in his towel.
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll see more baths, but I'll kind of give you the stages of going to a Roman bath. You would go into the apodarium, where you would basically take off your clothes. You'd have a little cubby where you could keep your clothes and your shoes or whatever, and then you would take a bath just to clean any dirt off your body or whatever. Then you would go into the frigidarium, where you would cool down. There's usually a pool there of evaporating water and insulated walls. Then from there you'd go into the tepidarium, which was usually just a room with insulated walls. And what's happening is your body temperature, you dropped your body temperature, now it's coming up. Then you'd go into the caldarium, which is the hot room, with the hollow floor and the hot air flowing. And also they would pipe in heated water, like, kind of like a hot tub or whatever. And that's where you'd really start to sweat, your muscles are relaxing and so forth. And you could just then rinse off, go to the tepidarium, go to the frigidarium, and then go on your way. That'd be a simple visit. You'd have to pay a little bit more, but if you went into the caldarium, then once you're really sweated out, then what you do is you lay on a slab, and a slave rubs oil on your body, and that oil brings the dirt to the surface out of your pores. And then they take a strigil, which is a piece of metal about this long, and it's kind of cupped and curved, and they would take the strigil and they would scrape the oil off your skin, and the oil and the dirt would come off. You could also get a massage first, and then they'd scrape the oil and the dirt off your whole body, which is kind of invigorating. If you ever use a loofah sponge or something, it sort of invigorates your skin. That's what the strigil would do. And so that would be a way you'd become clean, and you'd be very relaxed, and you'd kind of cool down, tepidarium, frigidarium, then get dressed and go on your way. And the idea of the Roman baths was every citizen, every person of every class should have access to the baths.
Male and female.
Yes, but separately. I'm sure there was shenanigans that went on, but technically there were either times for the women, times for the men, or if it was big enough, there was a women's section and a men's section in the baths. So the idea was, for very little cost that anybody could afford, even a slave, you could go in and have your Roman bath.
Bob, I think he's about to draw water from the well.
Okay, there we go. For the demonstration.
Yes, it is the same guy. Yes, it is the same guy.
Here we are at the traditional St. Paul's Well in Tarsus. And this kind gentleman has just lowered the bucket down into this 2,000-year-old well. And lo and behold, he's bringing up clean, clear, fresh, cold water. All right. I was going to put the lid back on. And there it is. A bucket of St. Paul's water. She is going to fill her water bottle with the St. Paul's water.
Yeah. شفاء نيتنا.
Anybody want some well water? Yeah, I think. Can we also have some? Okay. I can do it.
No, I was more intrigued with
Jenny's like, you're taking your life in your own hands.
road